Had years of being the world's greatest rock star do that to you, you know, and it had a particularly harsh effect on his body, you know, not a lot of moving around. He never did a lot of moving around, you know, and I mean, I've seen him with his personal trainer. He's out there doing stuff, you know, but it's just cool to see him in a little slice of life, you know. He seems like a good dad with a good heart. Yeah, they definitely live their life a little differently, but, you know.
Definitely, yeah.
You know, were they as affected by, like, words, fuck yous and stuff? No, but to be fair, I do think that's one of the weakest parts of our society, that we hear words and it's like abracadabra. We have this great reaction. Their family, yes, the kids are saying it, they're saying it, but when we're all saying it, it means nothing. It takes power away from it. I like that. That's kind of my whole
100%.
concept. Beyond that, you know, they wanted the well-being of the kids. Yeah, they did some things I wouldn't. Maybe let the kids at like 15 go and like stay in a hotel room with their boyfriends and stuff, especially your daughter, you know. Nobody cares about your son. You're like, go fucking, you know. My dad was like, hey, who did it? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But, you know, you don't want your daughter doing that, you know what I mean? You want them to be dogging down your daughter, some 18-year-old dude. And so, you know, they did a little liberal parenting, but they also lived by different rules, you know. To be fair, unfortunately, kids, not all the rules apply to everybody. They just don't. It'd be cool if they did. It'd be fairer if they did, but they just fucking don't, and that's one of those cases, you know. But good parents with good hearts, and, you know, it's a good family. They loved each other, and they, you know, essentially always stayed together through all that stuff. You know, that was just fourth, like, third wife, but, you know,
you know.
He's a rock star, man. And she was with him from the beginning.
Yeah, Sharon seems pretty, like, just on board with
everything. Oh, yeah,
she's
she's
like,
a singer
essentially
too, right? She does a little singing, yeah, but she's essentially his manager, you know.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I thought they had like some,
especially later in life.
I don't know anything about either of them. So.
And at the final concert that he did recently, she's the one that made sure that he wasn't allowed to get up out of the chair, even though he wanted to. And, you know, you could tell some of his bandmates, he was kind of like signaling to them to let him out, but he wasn't trapped. He was playing it off, but he did want to get up, and the rule is she didn't want him to do the show at all. You know, the rule is you do it, but you got to stay in the chair. So they gave him the coolest throne.
Yeah.
And he just had to stay in the chair. And the reason nobody let him out is because they all love him that much.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Which is really beautiful. And it's awesome that he got one last concert before.
Yeah, no, that's fucking sick, dude.